thank you all for staying. Appreciate that. No, really thank you all for coming out and supporting us. It means a lot to us. You know, independent film is a hard business to be in, so we need each and every person's support that we can to keep moving forward and doing more things. So thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the movie and looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
I think we all remember Lawrence Fishburne when he played Ike Turner. And they said on that set when he was playing Ike, that scene where he was fighting Tina Turner, that for like that day, like that week, the cast members couldn't stand him because he had done such a good role. And I was wondering, when you read the script, were you concerned about, you know, how you would be received or typecast, or did you receive any difference in attitude with your cast members at that time or after you performed this?
That's a good question. You know, for me, I've been taking acting seriously since I was about 7 years old. So at this point in my life and throughout high school and college, whenever I'm on stage and looking for roles, versatility and challenge, something you're always going to want. So when I, you know, read the script and saw the part, I thought to myself, you know, I don't think I fit the prototype of maybe your everyday TV rapist, Law and Order rapist sort of looking guy. So I said, if I can sit down in this audition and I can convince these people I could possibly do a horrific act like that, then you know, this is a success for me personally as far as an actor is concerned. So apparently I did my job in the audition, and the filming process, as far as the actors' reactions to me, I have a memory of, you know, we had a first rehearsal and we really didn't go at it, you know, very hard, just, you know, sort of walking it through. And then dress rehearsal, Bernard says, he says, "You want me to go ahead and do this?" He said, "Run it," you know. So okay, and I run it full speed and leave the room. I shut the door, and I'm doubled over. I want to vomit. I come back to my body a little bit, and I'm so beside myself after what I've just done to this lovely actress. And so I come back in the door very sheepishly, and my head's sort of down. And, I look at Mandy, and she says, "That was good. That was good." Yeah, I was really scared. Like, keep doing that, you know. And I was like, "Oh shit, she's crazier than I am." All right. So right after that, you know, I was able to relax a little bit, and so, you know, having a wonderful actress like Mandy to play off of is always going to help you. And like I said, it was very difficult. You know, it took me many sleepless nights, just you know, having it play through my head, and something that, you know, I was taught at a very young age: never lay a hand on a woman. You know, you saw it happen. So it was very traumatic, and it's certainly something I wanted to come out convincingly, but I never wanted to do it again, unless I was getting paid $2 million for it.
And you will. Now, while Rich is getting the next question, I'm just going to piggyback real fast on that too. You all saw it. Sometimes it can be a little hard to watch. It was hard to make, but it was funny because really on set, like, we really had a blast on set. And it was like weird, you know, we do these scenes, and then like the scene is over, and typically it's Jeff, where somebody else just cracks a joke, and then we're just laughing, and, you know, then it's like serious again, and we jump right back into it. So it was really weird.
Well, the darkness of the whole thing, it's dark. It's disturbing, and it's, you know, so when it's over, you got to break that tension. And just, you know, one of my worries in the whole process was you want it to be organic. You know, you don't want to do it too much because you don't want to lose steam with it. And so I think for me personally, to try to keep myself out of the moment, back in, was to, you know, break the tension with some sort of joke, or, you know, Andy and I were just chilling in between takes, and then, all right, roll it again. So it's very interesting. It's certainly an interesting process. process. That's all there is to it.
Entire movie. Quick question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where did the concept come from? Is this something that you have been thinking about, or is this more from something you, like a short story or something like that?
Well, I'll try to make this longer story very short because I get long-winded, as everybody knows. So there you know. It actually came from a poem that I wrote years ago that I still cannot remember why I even wrote it. But I wrote it years ago, and I had a discussion earlier this year with another artist friend of mine, and she told me about a song that she has that reminded me of this poem. And when I thought about the poem and I thought about the song, we were discussing doing a music video for her song, and I thought, wow, that poem, that really could be like a really strong short film. And I remember the first person I called was Rich. I said, Rich, I got this poem, it's really crazy, it's really dark. I said, we can do it two ways. We can either make it really, really, really dark and gritty, or we can kind of gloss over it a little bit, you know, which way you want to go. I'm thinking he's going to be like, oh, we got to gloss over it. We can't go dark and gritty. He's like, no, let's go dark and gritty. That started the process. So I took that poem, turned it into a script, and then the script just kept evolving through the rehearsal processes, and all these wonderful actors and actresses added different elements to the script, and you guys see the final version of it.
Bashir, extra number 34. Actually, I have a question for me. That was the first time I've ever seen a woman rape a man on film or in any aspect. Was that the definitive moment, was that the part of the script that put it over the top for you, that made you want to take this film?
Great question.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting question. I would say that particular scene, it didn't put me over the edge. It did give me a sense of power in a way. Like I wanted to act that role because it gave me the opportunity to kind of be a man, you know, and reverse the typical situation. So it didn't necessarily make my choice to actually do the role. There were a lot of different reasons I wanted to do the role. I kind of am drawn to very controversial types of work, mostly because it's challenging and it scares me, and a lot of people would never do it, especially you know,
People won't do it.
there's lots of reasons why women won't do roles like this, but I think that I made the right choice for me because it really pushed me to do things that I was scared of doing. And I think that as an actress, if you don't do that, if you continue to hold back, it's not going to get you anywhere. So that's it.
I'll just piggyback real quick on Mandy's as well, because she's phenomenal. Y'all haven't given up her again. She is this movie, in my opinion. And to the previous question too, in terms of the idea, I remember when I first wrote it, the script. It's funny when I'm writing, I'm not really taking in what I'm writing. I'm just writing, and then afterwards I'll read it and be like, "Wow, I wrote that." Okay. So when I wrote this, the first two thoughts that went through my head, I was sitting there and I was like, "Oh my God, we're not going to find an actress to play this role. This is, oh my God." Second thought was, "Oh my God, my mom's going to see this movie. Like, what am I going to do?" Oh no, hi mom. So those are like my first two fears, and I remember it to Mandy's credit, talking about being, having courage and being brave, because there were a lot of actresses that when we first put the notice out that, oh, I would love to audition, and then they read the script, and then after they read the script, one by one, they just all dwindled down, and but Mandy was like one of the first, and she was there all the way, all the way through to tonight.
I want to say the film is excellent, man.
Thank you.
My question is more towards the storyline directed to Andy. Your feelings and your thought about Alana and the mirror statement, "Recognize me now." Could you expound on that?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last part?
The mirror statement. You wrote on the mirror, "Recognize me now."
Right.
Could you expound on that?
Oh. Yeah, sure. The Recognize Me Now is more about because her father just abandoned her when she was younger, and because the reason why she says Recognize Me Now is because in the club, it had been several years since she had seen him, and he just didn't even recognize her in the club, but she recognized him. So that's why she ends up killing herself in the end, because that's the moment that pushes her over the edge. And that's why she writes that, so that he knows that's why.
I had a question for Jack.
Where you at? Raise your hand. Okay.
Hello.
I'm talking to.
How are you?
In the final scene, you pulled together a lot of anguish there in that final scene. Did you have to draw from something, or was that just anguish off the top of your head?
No, it's just be in a moment. And my daughter died. And there she is. Shit, I'm messed up. Now I look and go, fuck, and I'm the cause. And I know, hopefully I'll never have to do that in real life, but it, I didn't come across that yet. So, but it just came out. It just exploded. That's be in a moment, like you're with a baby, be there. Don't act mad, be mad. And, well, that's it. And with a script like that, it was easy to do.
Actually, I wanted to go back, and I just thought of one more little thought about the Recognize Me Now. To expand a little bit more on that, a lot of times our loved ones and our family members don't really know what's going on inside our heads, and I think that's really what the Recognize Me Now was about, because all this time she was being abused and had these thoughts running in her head that just kind of pushed her over the edge. So I think that's a little bit more about what that meant.
I just wanted to say congratulations to everybody. I think the cast did a wonderful job, and I think it was a really good message. Just a lot of times when children are younger, parents might not know the magnitude of the choices that they make and how it shape the child's life. So I like the way that you went backwards in time, just to show the end result and then to start back from the beginning. And I think that gave it a really good impact to get that point across at the end. But all the actors and director, writer, you all did a wonderful job.
Thank you. A question down here, Richard. Gentleman in the red sweater.
Thank you. Great job, everybody. Such a strong message that was portrayed. Would it be easier or harder for each one of you now to audition for a similar role in the future?
Sure. I would say I am not going to do a role like this for a very long time. It takes a lot to prepare for a role like this, especially because you don't want to be typecast in a certain role as an actress, especially when you're starting out and nobody knows who you are. So right now, as far as right now, I'm trying to do as many different roles as possible. I would do it in the future because, as I said, I do like to do controversial types of roles, but I would have to be paid a lot of money. And yeah, I would just need a lot of time to build up the need to do that again.
Hi. I would probably do what I did. It was a drama type thing, and once you, like holding her in my arms as my daughter and thinking that your daughter is dead in front of you, it's just something that you just can't help but, cry and be emotional about. So when you're doing something like that, you kind of, you are in the moment and you just go with it, and even the fighting scene, when Jack and I were doing the fighting scene, that was a lot of fun, because you're pissed off at your husband, that just comes out. And we were going back and forth and actually Bernard said he was scared, you know, 'cause he said ad lib and when we were rehearsing and the ad lib, and it just came natural, you know. So I guess both of us
I was
kind of
afraid for my furniture.
So I would do it again.
I am currently doing a comedy. I also needed, like Mandy, I needed to step outside of something so intense, and I needed to, you know, just do something a little lighter. And then I also got the lead, so thank you. But like I said before, always up for a challenge. You know, you do worry about, you know, you worry about getting typecasted with things. You know, don't want to play a rapist all the time. No, it's a lot of negative energy. It's a lot of unthinkable negative energy. And when your intention, when you go in to shoot a scene like that, is, you know, my intention is to get sex from this girl, no matter how I have to. If I have to use force, I'm going to do it, and I don't feel bad about it. That's a lot of negative energy to bring up, and a lot of, like I said, sleepless nights and things to think about. Am I prepared better for the next time? Yeah, I am. Because I know what I felt on set. You know, I know what I can say to the director and say, listen, for me to do this successfully, for me to feel good about it, I'm going to need X, Y, and Z. Let's do this. You know, it's an experience when you do these, and these all building blocks as to honing the craft of film. It's much different than theater, where everything is, you know, on the spot. You don't have time to think about it. Well, when you're preparing, you know, and doing takes and takes, you learn about the sort of nature of the business you're in. And I would be more prepared, and like I said, I would always take on a challenge. But in the current near future, I needed to do something that was definitely a little different. So.
Well, when you get a script like that, it's pretty much from an actor's standpoint, boom, it was like every emotion you want. That's what you want. I really didn't want to do a film like some Fast and Furious. I wanted to do a unique film, quality, and send a message. I think we nailed that. That's what you want from an actor's standpoint. This was hand-delivered. So if you're an actor, you look at this role, you go, what, are you kidding me? Yes. So would I do this again? Well, we won't have a sequel, but something like this, yes, I would like to. And that's that. And Bernard gave you the freedom, like in theater. He goes, just roll. You know, when we were arguing. And pretty much, we rolled. And, you know, the anger was there. We were angry. I mean, and that's easy. You know, just get there. Be in a moment. Like, don't act like you're mad. Be friggin' mad. And, well, with a script like that, thank you much, Bernard. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Jack. From a directing standpoint and a producing standpoint, actually, I said it from the first day of shooting. Our next film is a comedy. It's half written already. It's called Angus. So that'll be next year. Next year we'll see all you guys back here for Angus for a comedy. We can laugh. But yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. I mentioned to some people before, you know, the scene with Jeff and Mandy, it was weird. You know, when I was editing the film, again, like, you know, when I'm doing things, I don't really see them. I see them afterwards. So when I cut it, you know, I didn't really see it. And then when I sat back and I watched it, it really did turn my stomach. It really upset me. You know, when I saw that scene, it was just like, wow. You know, I couldn't imagine it was that as horrific as it was. You know, and it was like, thought, yeah, next thing gotta be a comedy. It has to be something light. Gotta do something fun. Get away from the dark side for a while, and then, you know, I would definitely come back to do something else. Anything that has a great story to it, I want to tell it.
How you doing? You all did a good job with the film. I was really impressed with it. I just had one question. How much detail on paper goes into the actor's personality? Or is it just like a line and you say it? But how much on paper do they get to read about each individual's personality?
Joe, you want to talk about that? How much the script influenced what you actually did?
Could you clarify the question one more time? I'm just a little shaky on as to what exactly.
I guess what I'm saying, you get a script and it has lines and you read the line, but does the actor get to look at that character on paper and say, okay, let me read what this guy's personality, how does he think? How does he or she think? So I know exactly how I want to react or read this line or act out this line.
All right, so how do we think the character would act, and is our personality at all into it?
Well, not so much are you into it,
well, I mean,
but is it telling you that you're a little hyperactive or you're mellow or this guy generally is a pleasant person? Does it tell you anything about your character's personality other than what he's going to do and say?
Well, I think one of the first things that, when I come to a set or get a script and I meet the director, I ask the director, all right, so what's the history with this guy? Scott was someone that was friends with, where they had an arrangement for years carried on, and you go through each line and it's sort of, and you ask, what's behind this, and then you go home and you ask yourself, the same sort of questions, and then you just have to evaluate what you need to do to get yourself there to carry out the message of that character. And then you gotta try to embody it and carry it through. And that's the whole acting process. Kind of summed up.
Yeah, one of the other things was we were only given our parts of the script that we were doing. So we didn't know the whole movie until the end. So we didn't know some of those parts. I didn't know, the scenes in the club or, but after a while you kind of put some of it together. But when you're doing it, you kind of, as you're doing it and what you're feeling, it just kind of comes out, So, if I'm holding her, like I said, it just comes out if I'm thinking, my daughter's, dying. So as we read it and I realized what it was, you just kind of get into it as you're doing it.
And just to touch on that, from a directorial standpoint, what I chose to do with this particular cast was a lot of the history of the characters as far as the motivations and how they handle things was actually drawn from the actual actors themselves. So I had them sit down and actually write out bios of the life that their character had, and then I took their bios and married that to my interpretations of the lives that the characters had, and we kind of found a medium for everybody's character for them to base it on and go from there. And then, so a lot of it is them, a lot of it is the script, but it's a symbiotic relationship between the two.
And you actually changed the script some after we did the ad-lib.
Yeah, we changed the script a lot after you guys did the ad-libs. When I have them rehearse, for me as a director, I like my actors to have strong performances above anything else. I think story drives everything. So if I want the actors to almost kind of feel like they're there so that the audience feels more like voyeurs watching something that's really in front of them as opposed to just sitting back, yeah, okay, all right, great. So for me, it was a matter of allowing them the freedom to really make the characters their own characters and for them to really feel like, okay, it's not just a role I'm playing, but this is really how I feel. And that naturally came out. That's where Joni was saying with Jack and Joni in particular, because these two go crazy. So we're having rehearsals, and they're in my living room, and I'm like, they're gonna tear my living room up. Like Jack is gonna break every piece of glass I own. This ain't gonna work. So yeah, but they do a phenomenal job of just going into that and drawing from it and putting it out there for you guys.
Just to clarify what you said, there were points, and this is 2 questions. Just to clarify what you said, there are parts of the script you're saying that certain actors weren't privy to. So, example, not everybody would have known that the father at the end saw the pregnancy test and the money.
This was Bernard's little trick to us, and at first I didn't agree. I wanted to see what was going on, but he's only gave each of us our scenes. And we knew we had to execute our scenes. We didn't know anyone else's business. So it's kind of interesting approach.
Yeah, in terms of the script, as far as actors were concerned, only Mandy had read the entire script from cover to cover because she's in it. All the actors only read the scenes that they were actually in, so they had no knowledge. Like for instance, Jack's character has no idea of all the other men that are in Alana's life the whole way through. The reason that I decided to do that on this go-around was I had a thought that happened when I was talking to somebody, whereas it's kind of like if you're talking to somebody and you make a joke that may be so inappropriate, you would say, toward another person, you say, something about somebody's mom's dying, and the person you're talking to is, my mother just died. Well, you didn't know that. So, you were genuine and they were genuine and the reactions were real. Had the person known that, then they would, well, I wouldn't have said that. So I got to thinking about that as far as my actors interacting with each other, and particularly with Joni and Jack, and actually Jeff a little bit there too. They don't all know what's going on in Alana's life. So I don't want them to know. I don't want them in their acting to start maybe doing something differently because they're feeling sorry for her for something else that's going on. I don't want Joni to really, I want her to feel like she lost her daughter, not like that she killed her daughter because she knows all these other things that went on that she didn't do anything about. And I didn't want that to come through. So we kind of kept that hidden from everybody while we were filming, except for Mandy, and I think it worked out. I think it worked out pretty well.
The second part, to piggyback on the last question, I was wondering, just from ages 1 to 20, notwithstanding that last scene, the parents, how would you describe the personality of the parents? It doesn't take much for an audience to make an assumption of the character. We all remember in Star Wars, Boba Fett was on the scene for a very short period. We created a whole mythology around the guy. So how would you qualify those as parents? How would you define or characterize them as people? We see snippets of them at different points, but like I started with you, how would you qualify as a parent?
Well, at first it was like the white picket fence, nice job, boom, everything's great. And of course it spirals out of control. She drinks, I drink, well, I have every vice. And there it is, a downhill spiral. And my daughter sees where I'm at, trying to get affection from me, and well, she spirals the same way. And that's how, the character, everything's cozy at first. And then, the white picket fence slowly depletes. Back to Bernard's point though, when you were saying, like someone says, I said, well, think about someone, I said, well, I cried, someone had died. And the director said to me, think about someone you love now, and you just heard they died. Sort of like a Christopher Walken. And then instead of one emotion, 5 different emotions come out. Denial, disbelief, anger, hurt, then it's wrong. And that's, when you get something good, that's how it is. Great casting crew. There you go.
And the parents, we didn't realize actually how we were screwing up Alana. That's what we were going on. So, I'm trying to let her come out of my bedroom and, different stuff like that. But at the end, we really did care about her, but, we just didn't realize what we were doing to her.
And she was the cause of my downfall, by the way.
It never ends.
Let's go get a drink.
Rally rock.
Just to piggyback on it, and I hope that does come through. A very important point I think that Joni mentioned, and that Alana parents, and that's one of the reasons why I want to tell the story, because they do care about her. It's not that they don't care about her, it's not that they don't love her, it's that they get so preoccupied with their own lives and their own miseries that they forget that there's this person that's watching everything that they do and learning everything from them as they grow up. So that was one of the most important points I thought in the film, and I hope that came across that way, that it wasn't that she was unloved or that they didn't care, but they lost sight of what was the most important things in their lives.
Hey, I just want to say, first of all, a really powerful story. It was a great job going to. And just for the director, I was just wondering, dealing with such sensitive topics on set, you know, what do you do as a director to coach the actors or to kind of keep the atmosphere light or, you know, from kind of straying into kind of too heavy emotions and stuff like that?
Well, as a director, a couple of things we did. One was the rehearsals. And we rehearsed it with individual groups beforehand. So that kind of helped because everybody was kind of prepared for what they were going to be doing on set. So it wasn't like we just got there and then figured it out. So that helped. I think having just a great cast and crew that we had, because everybody really, was just fun and upbeat people. So I mean, really, like I said, you guys see, the darkness. We had fun. We had a great time. Just having great personalities around, great people. For me personally, as I've gotten older and I've matured a little bit, just letting little things go. Things happen, things don't always go the way you want them to go. You just kind of, ride the storm. And, I try to personally, just no matter what, keep a positive outlook, a positive mentality, try to keep things moving forward, those kind of things, so that nobody got the opportunity really to get stuck or stagnant or the opportunity to dwell on anything. So from that aspect, that's what I try to focus on. Just always be remaining positive, keeping people fed, keep them drinking water and dealing with the hot days and the air conditioning, and just having fun. My number one thing is, in terms of filmmaking, we have to have fun. I don't care what the project is. If we're not having fun, then it's a job, and if it's a job, it's a problem.
I can kind of expand on that as an actor. When you're doing, for me at least, different scenes, especially ones that require that kind of emotion, it's all about using your emotion, your imagination, and knowing when to shut it off. Press stop and take a break, and then turn it back on. And the more you do it, the more you practice, the more quickly it comes out. So you don't have to constantly be in this depressed mood or this anger. It's kind of the difference between method and Meisner acting. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me.
We're good.
Perfect.